Okay, so I'm going to do today a quick review of the Grid MPX wheel, and it'll be a non-detailed review. It should be pretty quick, so you don't have to sit through a bunch of boring talk. I'm going to talk about the grips, the paddles, the weight and size of it, and the software used to control the LEDs, which is quite fun. Okay, so let me just show you the wheel here. This is the Grid MPX, and I'm coming from an Asher F64 V3, and I'll make some comparisons along the way. So we'll start with the size of it first. The width is a little wider than the Asher. This is the Asher, and you can see that maybe hard to see from the angle, but it's about the width of a finger wider. And I quite like that. I mean, to me, this is the perfect size. The Asher's fine, but the width of this is just absolutely perfect for me. The weight of it is also important. I've had other wheels where the weight was too much, and it dumbed down the sensitivity of the force feedback. It added too much inertia. So this weight is actually really quite perfect. You feel enough. In terms of the paddles, these are by far the best shifters I've ever used. I had the P911 as well, and it's the same shifters on the P911. And what I notice is there are two things. They're quiet, and they don't have a vertical movement to them. So what I mean by vertical movement, oh, I must have hit a button. What I mean by vertical movement is there's no let me make sure you can see it. There's no vertical slop here. And on the Asher there is, and it's not critical, it's just a little annoying. And then also they're quite quiet. The other thing, and you can see this, there's some screws here that allow you to adjust the length of the paddles, which allow you to adjust it for your needs. But to use these paddles, it's so quiet and so precise. It's just one of my favorite things about the wheel. Let's talk about the grips. So the grips the material is quite nice. It's got a slightly softer feel than the Asher, just as grippy as the Asher. What I like about the grips, I'll talk about first, and one thing that for me personally is a bit of an issue with the grips, I'll talk about second. So what I like about it is the bottom of the grip here, and you can see that it's got a bit of a flare that goes out. And when you're resting your hand in the corners, it just gives you that extra little bit of leverage so you can relax your grip more. So it promotes relaxing grip, basically. Now the thing for me, it's an issue with the grip is where your thumb sits. I happen to have relatively fat knuckles, and so the way it sits in this little groove here, the knuckles create some pressure points on either side. I don't have that issue on the Asher. I do on this one. I suspect it's going to be something that I'm just going to get used to over time because there's so much other things I love about this wheel. This is a minor issue for me. And, let's face it, it's impossible to make a grip that fits for everybody. But if you have smaller knuckles, no issue at all. But if you've got fat knuckles like me, then maybe it's an issue. But the grips are comfortable, they're grippy, and I'm pretty sure I'm just going to get used to that minor difference between the Asher. If I didn't have the Asher, I probably would have noticed that was an issue. But on the Asher, it's not a non-issue for me. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is the buttons and encoders. They all have a great feel to them, and when you, in this case, when I've hit the pit limiter button, you can control the LEDs to flash, as you can see there, which is quite useful. The encoders are perfect. So just the right amount of resistance. They're some they've been too stiff, some have been too loose, and it's easy to overshoot. These are, I don't know what they've done, but they've just really nailed it. It's just the perfect amount of weight. And the buttons themselves feel quite nice. They're quite a positive feel to them. Okay, so I probably should show you a bit about the software. So I'm going to change that to the desktop view and open up, where is it? SimHub. So you should see this. So in SimHub, you add the device. In this case, it's really simple. You just go and add the very specific MPX wheel. It's dead easy. And it gives you some options here for default lighting. I just have that selected, and you can either have it always on or when you're in a race. And then there's a button lighting and then the encoders lighting. So the button lighting is the buttons and the encoders are the rotaries. And you can edit default colors. In this case, I've got blue and yellow. And this is again for the buttons, or you can do the encoders, which is nice. As you can see, they actually light up around there. So, and when you put the stickers on, it's very, very easy to see. It would be nice if these were also lit up. You can't really see that. And let me go back to the other view. You know, where you've got the rotaries on the side, they give you really nice stickers to put here, but they're not illuminated. Maybe that's something that could be helpful, because I'm actually torn. I like the illumination here, but I like the use of these, so I'll have to decide which ones I use for brake bias and so on. Okay, coming back to the software. And this is just, you know, simple editing of the profiles. It comes with a profile that has some basic functionality. I think I've added maybe one thing to it. You open up the profile, and I added, what did I add? I think I added RPM or something like that. Where is it? Oh, here it is, red line reached. I added this so that when I reach the red line, I flash the center encoders. So let me just demonstrate that for you. So when I'm hitting red line, you can see it flashing. And I've also got ABS and stuff turned on. I can just show you that in the game here. So when I hit ABS, you'll see the wheel flash, which is useful. So for me, that's important. And then the other thing I've done is, let me just bring up the in here, because I can do this more easily with using the tester. But if you go into the profile here and open up the tester, I've got car left and right, which I think is useful. So car right, you can see that this turns, in my case, purple. You can do whatever color you want, and then car left, this one shows up purple. So obviously you can do a lot more than what I've done, but you know, to me, ABS, RPM, and car left and right are the most important things that I added. So overall, fantastic wheel. Only minor issue I have is with the grips, but I'm actually starting to notice it less. With gloves, it's a bit more of an issue for me because it just adds the extra thickness to my already thick knuckles. Here, you can see it better with the right hand. So it just adds a bit of thickness. So I don't know. We'll see. I'll have to keep using it and try it. I think if they made this part of the wheel here, if they made this so that it didn't go up towards that rotor but went straight across, then it would get rid of this kind of deep channel and narrow channel. That could help. But anyway, again, it's really hard to make these wheels fit everybody's hands. So and there's so much to love about this wheel that I definitely don't regret getting it for sure. And oh, and you know, there's buttons on the back here, and these were I probably wouldn't have these in this location because I'm actually afraid I'm going to hit that instead of these buttons. I'd rather have these probably in the center, but personal choice. And the buttons on the back are useful. I use them to move my dash, so you can see it changes my dash here back and forth in SimHub. That's what I use them for. Anyway. Great wheel, and good job to Brandon and his team. You know, I love what they're doing there, and I have to say this is one of the best wheels out there, notwithstanding my issue with the thumb. But again, that's a me issue, not a wheel issue. And yeah, great job. That's it.